What a day. What an amazing group of women. As I'm sitting here, the thought that keeps racing through my brain is they say that if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I'm in the right room today. Definitely learning and growing and being inspired. Thank you. So I'm Christina Stewart, and I build powerful teams. I run a company called Praxis Performance Group. And I spent a lot of time in preparation for today thinking about who I am and my mission and my ask. And who I am, not quite as long, but I'm a mom and a wife. I'm an educator, a facilitator, a human resource professional. Maybe I'm an artist, I'm not sure, we'll see. I'll check that out. And my mission is to build powerful teams. My ask is directly related to that. I believe so strongly in the power of people to build strong teams, to build strong businesses, to build strong communities, that I'm looking for connections to share what I know in able to do that. But before I launch straight into my ask, and before maybe you should care about helping me, I'll tell you a little story about where it kind of began for me with regard to teams. I was working as what's called an associate for a financial services company in Kelowna. I was in my mid-20s, and I was an associate because I had been an administrative assistant, and I'd done some licensing, but I wasn't done yet. I wasn't fully an advisor. And so this organization was sending us on team building. And I thought, okay, well, that's kind of cool, but I didn't really feel like I had a team. I was kind of in the middle. I wasn't an admin anymore, and I wasn't an advisor. So I was a little trepidatious, but curiosity won out, and off I went. Turns out it was kind of a pseudo-personality assessment, loosely based on Myers-Briggs, where the idea was that we would understand more about ourselves, understand more about each other, and thereby increase the communication of the group. Turned out to be a spectacular day. Unbelievable. I learned a ton about myself. I learned a ton about my colleagues. I saw people just become. I saw masks disappear. I just became. I felt like I had a team. I understood the contribution that I was making, and I understood it to be significant. I was significant. So what happened after? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We all went back to work, back to our offices, back to status quo. Absolutely nothing. But what happened? We'd had this amazing coming together, and then nothing. Nothing. So I didn't know it at the time, but I know now. I know now what happened. Not long after that, I made a switch over to human resources, and I've spent the rest of my career building teams. So there's three things with regard to the power of team that I want to talk about today. Number one is purpose, number two is individuality, and number three is practice. So let's talk about purpose. Before you can even think about developing a team, developing your business, whether that's training or education or team building, the purpose for your organization needs to be defined. People need to know that there's value in what they're doing. Otherwise, they climb on that hamster wheel and they ride that until 5 o'clock day after day. So they need to know that there's value. So businesses and business leaders need to be able to answer the question, where is my company heading, and how is my team, how are we going to get there? And then be transparent in communicating that out to the group. Or better yet, possibly, having the group and the employees involved in setting that purpose. And on that note, organizations whose purpose goes beyond money grow at 3 times the rate. 3 times if your organization is headed toward something of value, something that goes beyond just profit. People can get behind that at 3 times the rate. Okay, so that's purpose. The next is individuality. Every single team in the universe has the exact same thing in common. They are comprised of a group of individuals. So let's take a page from athletics as an example. In the Olympics in 2012 in London, there was a Canadian team of rowers, the Canada Women's 8. Okay, so much like any workplace team, these women came from all over the country. They'd had their own successes, they'd had their own contributions, they'd had their own strengths. And so it wasn't up to the leadership, the coaches, just to dump them into the boat and expect them to sail away to glory. It doesn't work that way. First, they had to identify the most competitive rower. She would sit at the stern of the boat and set the rate and rhythm for the entire team. Next, someone who's fit and skilled, who communicates that rate and rhythm to the rest of the group. Communication's pretty important, right? Yeah. And then behind that sit the 4 most powerful rowers. They dub that the engine room. I love that, the engine room. It's the power that really moves that boat through the water. And then finally at the bow of the boat, it's the 2 technical rowers responsible for steering. Okay? So that group, combined with the coxswain, comprised a set of individuals whose strengths were utilized in such a way as to maximize their efforts towards that team's purpose. And in this case, those maximized efforts rewarded them with a silver medal. Taking a group of employees, dumping them into a room, and calling them a team is futile. It's futile. Powerful teams are not born, they're built. And team building using individualized strengths is one of the best investments in time and energy that leadership can make. Okay, so that's individuality. So the last piece I wanted to mention was practice. Kind of my favorite. Practice. So when I think about that organization in Kelowna all those years ago, it was practice. That was the piece that was missing. Taking what we learned and practicing it. So as a trainer, as a facilitator, I implore the businesses that I work with to create space back at work for practice. Because when I am in a session, whether it's leadership training or team building, and we hit on an idea, that's just the start of the conversation. Employees need to be able to take that back to the work environment, try it on, test it out, see what fits, see what they can apply. And so for organizations, that can be something as robust as an applied project where people can really sink their teeth into something for a good length of time, or it can be something as straightforward as a debrief, calling everyone together and saying, how was that for you? Is there something that we can apply? And when an employee puts up their hand and says, I have an idea, that is cause for celebration. That employee has beat the evil enemy in your workplace of apathy and complacency. That employee is engaged, and engaged employees lead the charge toward your purpose. They lead the charge to building those powerful teams. So purpose, individuality, and practice build powerful teams. There's a whole host of other things too, but I've only got 9 minutes today, so I only have 9 minutes. I believe so strongly in the power of people to build thriving businesses, to build healthy, sustainable communities. I'm looking to share what I know with businesses and business leaders who believe in the power of their people as much as I do. Powerful teams are not born, they're built. I'm Christina Stewart, and I build powerful teams. Thank you so much.